start. Okay, so today's very great interviews invited from Turkey. Leyla, she is the professional, the space of the human rights and the new technology related to the IT law. So I'm very honored to have a great conversation with her this moment. I want to spread her ideas to all the listeners. So Leyla, thank you for coming to this interview this moment.
Thank you, Kohei, for inviting me for this interview. The honor belongs to me, and I'll be really happy to be a part of that interview. Thank you.
Great. Before the starting agenda, let me make an introduction with her. She's a professor and dean at the Istanbul Bilgi University Law School. In 2004, she established IT Law Research Center and started to work with relevant governmental institutions on digital transformations, e-government and information society projects. She was a member of the Digital Transformation Information Society Turkey Council led by Ministry of Development. Helped the government institutions in terms of preparing several laws and regulations regarding IT law related topics such as e-signature law, secondary registrations, certified email secondary registrations, the Turkish commercial cause of provision on digital company and its secondary registrations, internet law and secondary registrations, data protection law and secondary registration and guidelines. She's established IT Law Institute at Bilgi University in 2010. She represents the institute at the Network Centers, which is the global academic initiative under the roof of the Bachman Crane Center at Harvard University. She is former fellow of the Bachman Crane Center for the 2015 cohort. She is a representative of Turkey at the Council of Europe Ad hoc Committee on AI, KAHI, and the NIDORIT as a member of Steering Committee of Digital Assets and Private Law. So again, and thank you for having Leyla this moment.
Thank you, Kohei, for this really great introduction.
Thank you. So yeah, anyway, then let's go to today's agenda. We are meeting on the social media at the first. I'm very excited to have a conversation with you. And I realized that you are working on the IT and law at the Istanbul Bilgi University. So could you share your teaching at the university? So what are you working on that?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. And at Istanbul Bilgi University since 1998, I work on IT law. And the Bilgi University is one of the first university in Istanbul and among the few universities around the world which start to deal with IT law issues at that time. The 1998 is very the beginning of the IT law on the earth, actually. So what we teach to the students, we have different courses on IT law. Some of them is core courses. The IT law actually is core courses for the law faculty students, the third grade students, and we have several elective courses. For example, digital transformation and is one of the elective courses, internet law, cybersecurity law, data protection law. These are all elective courses for the undergrad students. For the grad students, we have a master course specific on IT law. And under that specific master course, we have a lot of different selective courses for the students. For example, we deal with computer forensics, we deal with cyber crimes, we deal with European Union new generation regulations, laws and regulations on online platforms. We discuss competition in the age of AI with the students, and we discuss M&A for the big tech companies, or M&A of the big tech companies. So we have really several elective courses for the master students. And we plan to open as of 2022 with the Koç University, another university in Istanbul has a specific AI research center. IT Law Institute of Istanbul Bilgi University signed an agreement with Koç University's AI Center. And in collaboration with that university, we plan to open a PhD program called Law, Technology, and Society for the next year. And this is also an important development at our end. In collaboration with also other departments of the Bilgi University, for example, with the engineering faculty, with the psychology or sociology or philosophy department of the university, we open other different selective courses. For example, the Law Tech is one of the new course we open in collaboration with the engineering faculty this year for both grad and undergrad students. And for the spring term, we also open for the both grad and undergrad students entrepreneurship as a course, as an elective course, but it is open for other departments of the university, which is important. And shortly, as Istanbul Bilgi University Law Faculty, we educate or we train students in order to understand the new AI world or new technological developments, and in order to feel sort of responsibilities as a lawyer in line with these developments, the technological developments. So shortly, the teaching works of the university is that.
That's very amazing. You did a lot of things so far, then also established new challenges related to the turning point to use the internet technology for the societies based on the new regulatory regime. So I'm curious, you had established many things so far. In 2010, you've been involved, concerned with the IT Law Institute. So what is your motivations to start the new challenges on the new field?
The world is changing and the law sector is changing, and the digital transformation affects directly the law sector too. That requires to make some amendments both in the law education and in the law sector and in the law system in general, actually. So in order to keep that pace, in order to show the students the new world, actually, the new order, we thought that will be great to particularly open not only courses, but research labs. As of this year, we have 4 different labs at the law faculty, and it is a bit weird for a law faculty to have 4 different labs. It is usual for the engineering departments or engineering faculties to have a labs, etc. But for the law faculty, it is a bit weird. But we very much like that idea to show law students the changing world. One of the lab is legal design lab, and within that lab, the professionals will show to the students to design thinking. As a lawyer, to think out of the box, it's important. Otherwise, we just stick in the laws and regulations and don't understand the other people. When we write laws and regulations, the other people don't understand what we say. And the aim of this legal design lab is to show the law students, you have to understand others when you write a laws or regulations, or even you create a service or a procedure. You have to understand also others, and you can think a bit different. And design thinking is one of the key solutions for that. So at the legal design lab, we try to show the students these things. And the legal tech lab is another lab of the law faculty. And under that lab, actually we open, this being said, a specific course for the students called legal tech. And at the lab, we have several startups, we have unicorns, representative of unicorns, we have investors, and we show the students for example, we invite startups and the students will listen their success story or their failures. The failures are also important to gain expertise. So the third lab is Privacy Innovation Lab, and they focusing that privacy and data protection. They try to innovate some new privacy enhancing technologies. The last lab is data-driven economy and new production tools. Under that lab, we discuss blockchain, smart contracts, cryptocurrencies, the tokens or decentralized finance, etc. And the responsibility of that lab, one of the responsibility is that to help Turkish governmental institutions, for example, the Central Bank of Turkey or the banking regulatory authorities or capital market boards. They try to put into practice sort of regulations in order to regulate blockchain, in order to regulate bitcoins or cryptocurrencies or tokens, etc. And this lab will produce policy papers or position papers in order to show or help the governmental institutions. This is the current situation and discussions surrounding that topics in the world. And the other responsibilities is also to make innovation or to create products, etc. So we are really so happy and already excited about to see what the students do or does within that lab, but we encourage particularly women to, for example, establish or to create a startup or to innovate something. Particularly, we support the women students to do that.
Yeah, what a great advanced approach. I haven't seen any kind of the classification in our countries that we have to run from your innovative approach for the academic theme. I had a talk to some of my friends in academic sectors. It's been a more mixtures from diversified background. For example, the entrepreneurs are coming, the business people is coming. Of course, diversification is the primary issues in academic sectors. We have to break in a threshold and walk in together for the future development. I think it's a very innovative approach. Then I heard about it, I very appreciate it. So I want to explore with you about the next topics. I think in Turkey is close to the Europe, then I think the Europe is a very big impact and in terms of the IT law in this decades. So how it has been transformed the IT laws in Europe, and how does it impact to your country?
We follow very closely to the European Union legislation and the digital agenda actually as Turkey. And in collaboration with the universities, companies, governmental institutions, and NGOs in the EU, we really try to understand what's going on and the logic of the developments and changes in the EU. So the network of centers you mentioned when you introduced me is a really big chance of us, just because not only we follow not only the EU, but also other geographies in order to see the developments on IT law. But we have close collaboration with the universities in the EU, and we also have close relationship with the European Union commissions, relevant departments, in order to join their laws and regulations activities and the discussions surrounding them. And also we have wonderful NGOs, the European Union activist groups, etc. We work closely to understand their concerns, their objections regarding IT law issues. So, but when we look at the EU, we see more laws and regulations, more developments regarding data. Using that term, European Union produce and they publish several laws and regulations, which affects also Turkey and Turkish IT law directly. For example, they published a proposal on Data Governance Act, which is truly important to create a data governance and to find different models and solutions to share data safely. And they about to publish Data Act, which is also important to understand Data Governance Act truly. And then they discuss Digital Services Act. They discuss also Digital Markets Act, which is also on our plate as Turkey. Relevant governmental institutions, they already started to work and they already started to transpose that laws and regulations into Turkish law. GDPR is also another important one, and we are about to harmonize our data protection law with the European Union's GDPR, but there are more in the EU. So it is important to follow that developments closely in order to change also content of the lectures, or in order to change the roadmap and strategy of the governments. For example, we have e-government strategy, digital transformation strategy, information society strategy, and very recently, AI national strategy of Turkey. So the developments at the European Union's end is truly important for us. And the EU published also a few months ago the proposal on AI, which is also important for not only Turkey, for other countries, just because it is the first draft law which frames AI and AI-related problems, etc. So this is the developments and changes on IT law in the EU, which affects directly to Turkey and our agenda.
Yeah, I have a reading this some of the documents the European Commission has been published, and then they also opened some guidelines again and again, and it's a very complex this for me. Yeah. Then they also maybe they today released. I had a news that they are try to make a cybersecurity law as well in terms of the connected device. I think it's a very clever approach, a smart approach to strengthen, not just to strengthen to create a new market based on the regulatory approach. So I want to explore the next one is about the your artificial intelligence involvement at the high, whereas the one of initiatives in maybe it's a European Council, right? Based on the researching the artificial intelligence technologies, how to regulate it or to make a governance in the space, right?
Yeah. And the Council of Europe, KHAI, the Council of Europe is an intergovernmental organization. Turkey is a part of that, and they established several committees on different topics. For example, in the past, they established data privacy, data protection group, and they work on 108 convention, data protection convention of the EU. And they did the same for the AI, and they established an ad hoc committee, which we called KHAI. And starting from 2020, I represent Turkish Republic at the Council of Europe, KHAI. And what we work there, we have two responsibilities. One of the responsibility of the KHAI is to define necessary elements of the future possible convention. So until today, KHAI has three different subgroups. The one of them is legal framework group, the second one is policy development group, and the third one is consultations and outreach group. I'm working both at the legal framework group and the policy development group. And next week on Monday and Tuesday, legal framework group, we have a 2 days long meeting in order to finalize what are the possible elements, the necessary features, necessary components of the future possible AI convention of the Council of Europe. So this is one of our responsibility. And the second responsibility of the KHAI is to create a convention on AI. So this is the difficult part actually of that, just because, you know, we don't, as global community, we don't even make a consensus on the definition of AI. There is no general definition. So we have sort of difficulties, but it is also exciting. I very much like challenging issues. So to create a framework, to create a convention, which will be binding for the whole Council of Europe member states is really unique and exciting expertise of us. So we also started to work to frame our convention, and legal framework group established 7 different sub-working groups. And the 7 sub-working groups worked 6 months long on different topics, on different chapters actually of the convention. And we created really a draft text. And after the next week's meeting, the last meeting of the legal framework group in November, we also share our draft with the Council of Europe's relevant departments. So this will be the first binding legal instrument on AI in the world. So this is also exciting, like the European Union's proposal on AI. They published that proposal for the just EU countries or EU member states, but the Council of Europe is bigger than that. And it covers EU member states, it covers Russia, Turkey, etc. And the 55 member states as a member of the Council of Europe. So this convention will be binding for the 55 member states. So this is really exciting.
Yeah, that's a very great honor here from that. I cannot imagine that from far from our countries, but it happens actually, right? And discussing AI, then how to regulate it, and also you envision that's probably the future technology to integrate it, the synthesizing for the society. That's a very great approach. And but the problem is just I'm working on the privacy space, and AI should be existing together. But then we have some of the controversial how we can protect the customer data, but AI wants to use the data more. So how we can overcome or coexist with the AI and privacy regulations?
Yeah, we organized an AI summer school, and you were a part of that actually. And during that summer school, we had a guest the day before. He's the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Data Protection and Privacy, Joe Kanataki. And Joe was our guest, and he said a very important sentence. And during his speech, he said, we have a lot of things to do before we start to discuss AI. What are that? What are our responsibilities? Our responsibilities is to fulfill all sorts of problems and needs on data protection and privacy. So there are a lot of things to do regarding data protection and privacy before we start to discuss AI properly. This is important just because the AI systems, they also process personal data of the people. So the vulnerable group, we have children, we have other marginalized groups, etc. The AI systems, they also use process their data and make sort of decisions which could be harmful, which could be biased for that sort of groups. So his approach was truly important and correct. Data protection and privacy is one of the important part of the AI discussions. So we have to find a balance. We talk about data-driven economy, we talk about data economy, we have data analytics systems, we have really wonderful electronic communication systems which enable to process data very fast. For example, the 5G will be speedier than 4G, etc. And using that new electronic communication systems, AI will be more in our lives and will be affect more our lives when we compare in the past. So, but when it comes to data clusters and data which AI systems need, consist of also personal data. And when we look at the world, European Union is the standard setter regarding data protection and privacy. They have a gold standard, GDPR, and most other countries, they mimic and they replicate the GDPR into their national law. But just having a law is not sufficient. That doesn't mean we respect privacy in practice. We respect data protection rights of the people in practice. We have several bad practices. We have the lack of practices. So we call that privacy on the book is good. You can create a law, etc. But privacy on the ground is a different topic. So we have to see that in practice, in our daily life, yes, or data protection and privacy is important for the private sector companies, for the governments, for NGOs, or even for other people which we communicate. So that is the really controversial and that is really crucial problem of AI laws and regulations to create a balance with data protection and privacy.
Yeah, I totally agree that you mentioned at the moment that's very difficult to start and to make the perfect creations, but we are stepping up the moving to the step by step. I think it's a time to consider the importance of the privacy, the balance in the AI and data utilities. I think it's a very practical dialogue in the next decades. So I want to ask you about your practical approach that I discovered that you are going to start your own platform in maybe it's a bit between your in the universities, right? I saw that it's called a Mind platform. So how well it works, and what is the purpose to create this new challenge for you?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. And the Mind helps to the Council of Europe's third, Kahai's third working group, which we call Consultations and Outreach Group. The Mind helps to that group of the Kahai, the council, the Consultations and Outreach Group organizes surveys, conducts surveys, or organizes different conferences or seminars in order to share Kahai's mission with different parts of the world, with different stakeholders, actually. So I thought that it will be good to have a sort of communication dialogue platform at the university in order to help as Turkey to the Kahai's outreach and consultations group. So we established that platform. It is actually a dialogue platform. And in line with the consultation and outreach group's agenda at the Kahai, we organize different seminars, we organize different events, and we help to spread consultations, groups, surveys, etc. to the Turkish community, to the Turkish stakeholders, and we actually help them to make their missions real. So one of the important aim is Mind to help actually Kahai's mission, but particularly for the outreach and consultations group's mission. And the other plans and aims of the Mind is to share from time to time important topics with the Turkish community. We gather whole relevant stakeholders under that platform. We discuss sometimes open, sometimes close, within sometimes closed meetings, important points, important discussion topics, and we try to also help Turkish governments. We help them to prepare Turkish national AI strategy, and nowadays we help to the governmental institutions to realize that national AI strategy. It is important to create a national AI strategy, which is wonderful, good. This is the roadmap, this is the way forward, and but it is important to realize it. So we help to the governments or other stakeholders to make national AI strategies, actions real.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that you have already been working on the new challenge in the practical case. We can imitate it then from your success story. Then we can replicate it originally to our countries. Then using your concept. I think it's great to hear through these interviews. So lastly, I'd like to ask you about to share your message for the listeners. I think many representatives are working on the AI then to integrate it with the ethical morals. So could you give us a message from that?
Sure. The discussions on AI started around the world with ethics. The ethics of AI is important. And when we look at the companies' policies or other sort of national AI strategies around the world, they also replicated the importance of ethics, and they published several ethics principles which will be important for creating AI systems or using AI systems, etc. But there is a paradigm shift around the world from ethics to AI regulations. We see that paradigm shift very clearly when we look at the European Union. We see a draft AI regulation. When we look at the Council of Europe, Kahai, we don't discuss ethics anymore. We discuss a convention, a binding, legally binding convention. So we discuss laws and regulations of AI. This is the paradigm shift. To have a national AI strategy is good, but at some point we have to transform it a regulation or laws, which will be more binding for all stakeholders, for the citizens, for private sector companies, for governmental institutions. Just because ethics is good, but is not binding, is nice to have or nice to apply that rules. There is no strong punishment or strong sanctions of a violation of ethics rules. But if we have laws and regulations, we can create, envisage more strong and binding rules. And as a KAHAI member, I would like to thank to all Japanese people and to Japan, actually, your particularly governmental institutions, which has direct relationship with the KAHAI. You helped a lot in order to create more comprehensive reports, what's going on in different countries, what the other countries do on AI. The Japan government helped to the KAHAI to create an excellent report. You can find it on KAHAI's webpage. And for that, I would like to thank you so much for your help, for your country's help to the KAHAI, which is really important. I very much appreciate it for your generous help to the KAHAI. And it is really important to understand what's going on around the world in different countries. You really helped us to have such a wonderful paper. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing, the message. I hadn't expected that we've been already working together then, but we have more possibilities to work together for the collaborations for the future AI, then protection, the ethics. So again, Leyla, thank you for having a great conversation on the interviews today. Then happy to work with you together for the futures then from that moment. Thank you for having.
You're welcome, Kohei, for inviting me for this interview. And we always happy to get in contact with you, to do something with you, and particularly the Turkish citizens very much love the Japanese people. So we have collaboration, and we really have collaboration inherently. Just need to put a name of that collaboration, and I am always happy to do something with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.